It's time for On the Farm in Alabama, bringing farmers and agribusiness the latest news from Alabama Extension and the Auburn University College of Agriculture. Now here's your host, Alabama Extension Regional Agent, Eddie McGriff.
Good day. I'd like to welcome everybody today to On the Farm in Alabama. And today is my guest. I have Dr. Audrey Gamble, who is a soil scientist with Alabama Extension. Audrey, we get a lot of questions about volatilization, ammonia volatilization from urea-based fertilizers. What products do we have that actually work?
So absolutely, Eddie, with urea products in particular, we have a high potential for volatilization if we do not have adequate rainfall or an irrigation event of, I would say, about a ½ inch per acre after we apply within a day or two. And so that can lead to significant losses. You hear different reports, but if the conditions are just right, I'd say up to about 20 or 30%. That's kind of a worst case scenario. But we do have products that can help prevent that volatilization from occurring. There's a lot of products in the market, but the only one I would say that we've seen consistent results with in terms of reducing volatilization in the field would be NBPT. Now, most people probably know that as AGROTAIN. That was the original patent, but now there's many products that contain that active ingredient NBPT that's in AGROTAIN.
So the first thing a farmer needs to make sure when they buy a product to prevent or reduce volatilization is to make sure it contains NBPT. That's a tongue twister, really. But also we need to look at another thing, and that is the concentration. The old AGROTAIN was always between 20 to 30%.
That's right. And sometimes, and it's not always the case, but you might see some generic products that have a lower percent. And what the research has shown is that for NBPT to be effective, you'd want to have at least 0.04% of the weight. So that's 0.04% NBPT compared to the product, which in the case that we're discussing would be urea. And so for a product like AGROTAIN that has 20%, that comes out to about 2 quarts per ton.
Well, one thing I noticed on a lot of these generic labels, they don't even have a percentage of the active ingredient, and that would tend to be a big red flag for me when you don't have the percentage. But when they finally, or the farmer asks, what's the percentage? A lot of times it's 5%, so instead of putting 2 quarts of a 20%, they're putting 2 quarts of a 5%, which ends up being a quarter of what's recommended to be effective.
That's right, and I would still expect to get maybe a little bit of benefit from that, but again, as far as where we maximize that loss through volatilization would be around that 0.04 to 0.06% range. And so you want to be sure that you're comparing products based on the amount of NBPT, I would say, because you want to get what you're paying for. So if that product cost is just a little bit more for a 20% product compared to a 5% product, then I'm going to go with a 20% product.
Well, it would be kind of like if you were wanting to put 100 pounds of N on your cornfield and you decide that 20 pounds does just as good. And a farmer would say that's not going to work, and that's the same way with these volatilization reduction products.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's been research on this, not just in Alabama. Dr. Beth Gertal, who's here at Auburn, has done research with this, as well as others throughout the U.S., and to kind of show that NBPT is a good product, but we want to apply it at that right rate.
Well, I have a lot of the farmers said, well, the research has shown this product works. Yes, this product works at the right rate, so you need to have the right rate. So I guess my point to farmers is P.T. Barnum said there's a sucker born every minute. Don't be one of those suckers. Check the label, make sure it contains NBPT, and if it does, make sure you're putting it at the correct rate. You need to have 2 quarts of a 20% material. If it's not that, you're really not getting what you're bargaining for. So I want to thank Dr. Gamble for being with us today on On the Farm, everybody for tuning in, and thank you.
Thanks
Audrey.
for having me. It's always
Yeah.
good to be here.
Yeah, thank you.